Hey there, everyone. How are you today? Howdy, howdy. Rusty Nelson here. We're going to be talking some watercolor. Well, maybe not so much watercolor today. This is kind of a back-to-back video for me today. I shot episode 6 yesterday, and I'm shooting episode 7 right now. And today is my birthday. So I am turning 63, and I'm 1 year closer to that magic 65 with the intended date of retiring sometime within the next 2.5, 3 years. It depends. We'll see where it goes, actually. So I'm looking forward to it, and I have a lot of expectations and things that I'm hoping to be able to do in retirement once I have the freedom to do it. And sometimes I kind of question my sanity and starting this YouTube channel in the last 5 months and getting something like this started while I'm still working. But I did want to kind of have it under my belt and learn a few things while I'm still teaching at the university, that I can hopefully bring some of the knowledge that I'm learning with this channel to the university before I retire and work to update and move our design program into keeping up with the technological advances in the realm of where design is happening now. So, and that is my primary area of focus at the university, is teaching graphic design and all the tech, the Photoshop, the InDesign, all the Photoshop products, working in 3D modeling and animation. So I'm in a tech field, a creative tech field. But again, as you may know from some of my previous blog posts, my vlogs, in that I started out in the design area in advertising pre-computers being used to any great extent. So I was a traditional graphic designer where I was marker comping and doing everything by hand. You had to be able to draw, you had to be able to paint, and those are the skills now that I'm using for this YouTube channel, and the interest that I developed as trying to get work as an illustrator as well, and doing illustrations as a graphic designer, becoming an art director, and ultimately owning my own advertising agency before I came into higher education. So yeah, those are all the skills that I really wanted to bring and introduce into this YouTube channel for people in their retirement zone, whether they're approaching retirement or in retirement. And I guess that's one of the reasons I wanted to kind of do a follow-up vlog post today on my birthday, as I'm anticipating retirement and all the romantic notions I might have about it. And I guess mainly to ask you, is it what you were expecting when you retired? And if not, what were some of the pitfalls that you faced? And I'm sure there will be. And I've been planning and kind of working towards retirement for the last 5, 6, 8 years. One of those things in preparation for retirement was to really pick up and hone my skills with watercolor, those skills that I now want to bring to you, anybody actually wanting to learn how to watercolor, and definitely with an emphasis on those people who are looking for things to do with a lot of time on their hands. So this is a great skill, a great pastime, a great hobby, and it could even be more than that depending upon how much time and effort you invest in it. And and a lot of times it's location where you're at. You may be in a location where there's just gorgeous scenery everywhere, and you just can't hardly walk out the door without seeing something gorgeous that you have to capture. And that's the fun thing about watercolor, is I think it really does open up your eyes to your surroundings, your environment, the time of day. Everything comes into play, and you start becoming that observer, that person that can see the things that other people may just go through their day and just ignore or just overlook because they're not looking. And that's the thing I really enjoy about drawing and painting and watercolor specifically, is that you're learning to be an observer. You're seeing the world in a totally different way, and you start thinking compositionally. You start thinking of the color palettes and the color mixtures and everything that you might be able to use within your pieces as you're creating. Even though, that watercolor has that reputation for being difficult and hard, it's once you know those fundamental things and you practice them and get those things under your belt, it's really one of the most satisfying and rewarding and immediate media that you could decide to work with and start painting with. So, yeah, 2 years out until I'm 65. That's a great feeling, knowing that is looming. But oh man, I have enjoyed the last few months of working on this YouTube channel, and even though I know I have so many things that I have yet to improve upon. One of them, and I really appreciate these little tutorials I've been doing and posting, because it gets me back to my beginnings of understanding everything. And it doesn't hurt, no matter how far you progress with your skills, to go back and just do some of these fundamental things again and just refresh your memory on why they were important and why you should do them, why you should practice them. And that's been the fun thing about just all these various little, and not that my viewership is reflecting that in any way, but I do think it's important that you get in there and do those simple shapes, work on just creating form and understanding what the various states of watercolor can do, how much saturation, how much pigment to put into that mixture. All those things, you just have to practice those things and warm up. That's one of the key things. I don't know if I've stressed that enough as you are getting started and you do maybe want to start a nice piece. You intend it to be a piece of art, right? Well, warm up first. Do some doodles, do some studies. Just practice. Maybe you have a certain thing in this watercolor you're kind of afraid to tackle. Well, go in and do some studies on that thing and warm up. Clouds for me are the thing. I have to kind of get into the right mindset with clouds, because the more you try to make them look like clouds, the less they become clouds. So you really have to get into a mental shift and do some different exercises mentally as well as physically on paper with the media to kind of get in the zone. And I don't know if you've noticed that word zone, you do. That's what the practice does. It forces your mind to shift and you get into that zone. And that's one of the reasons why I do a lot of voiceover on my tutorials, is that I've tried several times to do the explanation of what I'm doing as I'm painting. But if I get to focusing and working mentally on getting that piece to look right, I can't speak anymore. I'm too focused. So I'm still working on that skill set, being able to walk and chew bubblegum at the same time. So, but yeah, I'd definitely like to know any of your pitfalls that you may experienced as you went into retirement. I'm making some assumptions and based on observations of parents and in-laws as they've gone into retirement. And I definitely come from a rural Midwest environment. My parents, my mom's gone, but dad's still around, and he's a retired farmer, and my in-laws are retired farmers as well. And I've seen where people, a lot of times where, especially farmers, they have so much wrapped up their identity in what they did as farmers that once retirement hits, they never had a chance to really develop outside interests other than their total involvement with trying to bring in crops and raise cattle and that. So they are a little lost and not sure what to do with themselves. And so that's one of the reasons that it really inspired me to maybe start this channel, to get people who have the mindset. Now, granted, you got to have the desire. Nothing I do in this channel will work for people who have no desire to learn it. So if you do know of anybody who is in that situation, tune them into my channel and let them, try picking up a new skill, something new to learn. And I do think as an educator, always striving to learn something new. I've seen a lot of people, once they hit a certain age, they just have decided they don't want to learn anything new anymore. And that's kind of disconcerting because, I think if you lose that interest in learning something, it's over. You need to really keep on top of it and foster that desire to learn something new, even if it's something little. And I know technology scares a lot of people at a certain age. They get to that point and they're just done trying to keep up with the changes that are happening. And I understand that. And I'm in that type of a field where right now, with AI generated content, be it written word, be it visuals, be it music, all of that stuff is really affecting and changing very quickly what it means for my field. So, but I'm trying to learn it. I'm diving in and playing around with it and seeing just what kind of an impact it's going to have and trying to stay on top of it, because really, and in talking with a former student of mine, it's definitely a thing you either embrace and figure out how to use and work with, or you're going to get left behind. And maybe there's a point at that, at some point, do you finally just say, well, I'm going to be left behind. But if you do have some other skills, and it is funny that I'm in a high-tech field, I'm trying to keep up with all the changes in that regards, and I'm using some of the new technology. Not that YouTube or the internet is terribly new, but I'm now bringing my skills that I really developed initially in the era before all the technology and all the digital ways of creating and producing visuals. I'm back to a brush and some water and some pigment and a piece of paper and doing those kind of things. And I still have such an enjoyment doing the traditional media, as well as learning about how to do stuff with the technology. So I do feel like I am blessed in a way that I am interested. I'm still desiring to learn new things or improving and perfecting the old things that I've been doing for so long. So, but I just really wanted to jump in here today in this episode just to talk about the fact that, here I am getting closer to that day, and hopefully my YouTube channel will maintain and keep growing, and that I can continue bringing watercolor techniques and tutorials and demos and insight into creating artwork using this media and others. Like I said, I've been doing some drawing tutorials as well, and getting people up to the speed where they can really, produce some wonderful looking artwork that friends and relatives, and who knows, maybe even others, can appreciate and will want to see. And you can maybe possibly have a nice side gig in retirement as well, selling artwork, going to art fairs and things like that. So anyway, that is really all I wanted to speak about today. Drop me some comments about retirement. Let me know how yours is going, if it went as expected or going better than expected. That's, I'm curious to know, and I'm looking forward to it. So don't scare me away from it too much. So I mean, that maybe that's why I'm doing the YouTube as well, is to stave off that day when I may not have the desire to do much of anything. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, thank you for listening and watching this episode of Talking Watercolor, and I'll see you in the next episode. Give me a like and a subscribe. Thanks.